American Gladiators, adored by millions. And now in his new book, he tells us about the price of fame and what it took to overcome a powerful addiction. You know who we're talking about, Arlene.
I certainly do.
We are talking about Dan Clark, also known as Nitro. Welcome into the show. Yes, indeed. Dan, hi.
Eileen, thanks for having me.
Yes.
Sweet.
Thank you so much for being
Bridget, got
here.
our love for you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Oh my goodness.
Look at that. We got lots of fans in our crew who
Gladiator.
are fans of Gladiators,
Yes,
especially
indeed.
you.
And listen,
Yeah.
and for people who don't remember, why don't you take a look at this clip?
Step back. Once again, there's a 30-second time limit. And quickly, Nitro goes to work with...
As you can see, I lose my stick here, and he keeps swinging at me, so I just take him by the face and I shove him off the platform.
That'd have to happen.
I want to be very clear about this. I didn't shove Lucian because he beat me. That wouldn't be Nitro. I shoved Lucian because he kept swinging. There's a difference. And knowing that difference, I believe, is what made Nitro so popular.
Dan Clark, everybody.
I want to say thank you guys for having me. It's been fantastic to be back here. I have to give a big shout out to the Ceballos family.
Yes, to whom you know, of course.
Yes.
Ray
Good people.
Ceballos, who's our senior correspondent here on the show. We love the Ceballos.
Yeah.
Mickey, Gibby, CJ,
All
the
of
whole
them.
crew. A lot of love
Yes.
for them. They're the ones who brought me to San Antonio originally.
Yeah.
So it's a good time. It's good to be back
Well,
here.
welcome back.
Like I said, you guys roll tough. The producer, Amy, back here is telling me how she's going to take me down to jiu-jitsu.
Oh, that's what she said.
Yeah, it's a little crazy here.
Yes, I know. Amy, she's been working out. Yeah,
Amy's always up for a challenge.
She's going to take down Nitro.
Yeah, she's taking down Nitro.
Have you seen this guy?
She says, my brother is so excited you're here and I can use my jiu-jitsu on you.
Yeah.
And I'm like, whoa, good thing I wore the tennies today. I wore the tennies.
You got the look
I got my
going.
Kanye West tennies
Hey, we
look
love
going.
it. We love it. Well, it was so funny because I asked her, I said, are you okay with being called Nitro? Because sometimes people, you know, they gain this notoriety with this. And you said, he told me, my mother calls me Nitro. So I said, okay, I guess we're good.
Well, yeah, I call my mom and I say, hey, Mom, it's Dan. How are you? She's like, who? I said, Nitro. Oh, hey,
Nitro.
son, good to hear from you. So it's a little crazy.
Well, Dan, let's talk about, I mean, first of all, the success of that show. I mean, you were really launched into a stratosphere where you became not only this, I mean, you became an overnight success and a household name. What has that been like? I mean, just being out there. I remember reading a passage in the book last night where you talked about going out on stage, going into the arena, and you come out and you have this feeling like you're a rock star. That high is addictive, yes?
Yeah, we did a tour across the country, and we did 140 cities. We sold out Madison Square Garden.
Right.
We came into the San Antonio arena, which is fantastic. And I think what a lot of people don't understand is the pressure athletes feel to perform. Because it's an obligation.
Sure.
And sometimes athletes like myself, we make bad choices, we make mistakes. Because, you know, when you're going out in front of 15,000 people and they're all screaming your name, that feeling is, it's intoxicating, it's alluring. I remember like running out into the arena in San Antonio, you know, 12,000 people, all Nitro, Nitro, Nitro. I wanted to please them so bad. I would have probably ripped my heart out of my chest and held it out to them, still beating in my hands if that's what they wanted.
Yeah.
And that intoxication and that psychological addiction sometimes is where professional athletes, like I said, make bad choices.
They slip.
Yes.
And what I love so much about this book is that you were so candid with the fact that you wanted to be this person that everybody sort of looked up to in terms of being an athlete, but that you were also having some struggles behind the scenes with addictions. And people didn't know, so it was hard to put on the face and deal with your own demons, so to speak.
Yeah, you know, I was a hero to millions of kids, and back in the days of the Gladiators, and I thought it was important now, going through the life lessons that I'd learned, to come back and be a hero in a different way, to come back with a message, because I think one of the things that's plaguing sports is steroids.
Yeah.
And it's something I took as a young man in 1982. Gosh, I'm old. 1982 is something I took as a young man when they weren't illegal. And I thought they were safe because I got them from a doctor. Well, it was 20 years of addiction and 20 years of terrible side effects. And that was always kind of, you know, my little secret. But I thought it was important to come back out and say, no, look, I did this. Here's the harmful side effects. I think they're wrong. Now, a lot of people have said to me, well, how come you can come out and talk about it? You know, because you're someone who used the drugs. And I said, well, look, if you go into AA, the first thing they do is they give you someone who used to be an alcoholic and they help you through the program.
Wow.
So I think I'm the perfect person to talk about it.
And is that why you decided to write the book?
Well, there's a couple reasons because there's so many people love the show and they wanted to see behind the scenes.
Sure.
But I guess the more heartfelt message was to come out and be honest about the journey, because I know as a young teenager, and a lot of teenagers out there, if someone says to you don't take steroids, especially a doctor, you're like, oh, he's a doctor, what does he know?
Right.
But if it's someone you know and you trust, and they're 100% honest with you, here's the good things. Hey, they do work, but here's the bad things.
Here's the bad things.
Look, I was urinating blood sometimes. I had to have an operation to get, breast tissue removed out of my chest, which is a side effect.
Wow.
I almost had a heart attack and died. Those are the things that the teenagers aren't hearing about.
Yes.
But, you got to show both the good and the bad and hope they're smart enough to make the right decision on their own.
I even remember reading a part in the book where you said that there were women on the Gladiator set or around who there was some talk that the women might be taking hormones, because what it does for your body physically is it makes it really good to look at, but physiologically it destroys.
Yeah, that's an interesting study. The CDC said the #1 increase in steroid use is among young teenage girls.
Wow.
Like the highest amount of increase, which was like 8%, which is a scary thought. And I think it all goes to, I think we're all guilty as a society. To me, sports and entertainment has always been a microcosm for what's going on in the big picture of the United States. We did these jumbo loans, we wanted more, we wanted to be bigger.
Sure.
The same thing happens in sports, know?
So when did you decide that this whole lifestyle was just out of control now?
It took a lot, it took a lot, and it was a series of little things. I think I had to make right what was wrong on a deeper internal level with myself. When I was a young boy, when I was 10, this is in the book too, my older brother got into an electrical accident and he died in my arms. And that was the moment I became who I am today.
Yeah.
You understand what that tragic thing?
Yeah.
So once I understood that the reason I built this big body and built all these muscles and took all these drugs was all to protect that, I'm not going to cry.
But it was the pain.
Yeah, it was all to protect that little kid inside, who thought that's, what a man was. And eventually the journey, the emotional journey through the book and through the story is that little kid who thought he was doing what it took to be a man, and eventually becoming a human being and a complete person.
Yeah.
I do want to ask you something about how you mentioned as an athlete you also were out there to perform and there was that pressure to perform. When were you able to turn off and on Nitro? When you were
there's an
on the
interesting
show?
chapter in the book because it says, Nitro must die. In order for me, Dan Clark, as a human being, as a man, to live, I kind of had to kill that part of myself. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
That part who always had to keep up with everybody. That part had to be the best and the strongest.
Because isn't it true, Dan, that you were in parties with celebrities and presidents? And I remember
It's a lot
reading
of
one
pressure,
story where somebody said, "Hey, Dan, can you come here? Somebody wants to meet you." And it was Ronald Reagan.
It's Ronald
So
Reagan.
it was intoxicating.
Yeah, it is intoxicating.
So listen, I'm telling you guys, pick up this book. You can actually read and learn a lot about Dan Clark. DanNitroClark.com is where you can find the book. And this is a great book for parents who want to be on the lookout for things that they may not be suspecting.
Yes, let me
in
just
their
finish
children.
with, and it is a fantastic read. It was just voted as one of the best books of the year.
It's
And it was, if you can read
good.
one
It
book, you
is
read
good.
this. And because I love San Antonio,
Yes.
anybody who goes to my website, DanNitroClark.com, and says that, not anybody, the first 3 people. That says they saw me here with you two
Great
lovely
Day
girls.
USA.
I'm giving books away.
Hey, thank you, Dan. Dan Clark
Thank you
is
so much.
awesome.
Thank you.
Stay with us, everybody. We'll be right back.